Hey everybody on YouTube, this is Kyle Snyder once again, aka Clipton, and here are my Week 7 picks for the 2012 NFL season. We start off with the Seahawks versus the 49ers, and, obviously both these teams are 4-2. Whoever wins this game is no doubt going to be in first place of the division. It's like, even though the Niners had a bad game last week against the Giants, I think they're going to end up winning against the Seahawks. Because the Seahawks seem to be having problems playing on the road, and the Niners seem to be doing well at home. But then again, who can say how this is going to turn out? I mean, maybe Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are going to pull off an upset, but I think the Niners are going to bounce back from their loss against the Giants. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, both of these teams are considered to be weak teams. Obviously, they have a lot of problems. Tennessee with their defense, same with Buffalo, despite the signing of Super Mario Williams during the offseason. But this game could go either way, but I'm going to give it to Buffalo because they have the home field advantage. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that the Cowboys are going to win, but I'm actually going to give this one to the Carolina Panthers because I believe it is about time that they do bounce back and get back into contention. I mean, I really don't see the Cowboys beating the Carolina Panthers for many reasons, one of which they do not have good time management. They don't seem to have as good receivers as they used to be able to. I mean, they had a few good catches against the Ravens, but in the end they blew it. And I know the Carolina Panthers are very hungry for another victory this season, and I have no doubt they'll get it against the Dallas Cowboys. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Houston Texans. Both of these teams want to prove they are the absolute best team in the AFC. They both have great defenses. They both got good offenses. This is a toss-up. It could go either way. The Texans have home field advantage, but the Ravens, obviously they've been around the league long enough to know exactly how other teams play. I'm going to give this one to the Baltimore Ravens. Despite the fact that they lost Ray Lewis and Ladarius Webb for the rest of the season, I think they can still pull it off. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns versus the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Colts, their main victories seem to be coming from at home. They seem to have problems playing on the road. So I have no doubt the Indianapolis Colts are going to beat the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Browns were victorious over the Bengals last week, but hey, it's the Browns. I mean, they only get a few victories per season. I mean, the Browns have to make a lot of changes if they want to become a winning team again. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Minnesota Vikings. Ever since Kevin Kolb got injured last week against the Buffalo Bills, things have been falling apart for the Cardinals. I mean, not just the quarterback issue, but their offensive line issue. And no doubt the Minnesota Vikings are going to look to bounce back. Yes, they didn't do as well as they should have against the Washington Redskins, but I have no doubt that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be an easier team for them to beat. So the Minnesota Vikings are my pick to win. Next up, we got the Washington Redskins versus the New York Giants. And obviously, RG3 is going to once again show why he is such a great player on the road. But of course, we got the Giants with that humongous victory over the 49ers. And I'm going to go with the New York Giants to win this one because momentum appears to be on their side. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers versus the St. Louis Rams. Once again, both teams 3-3. The Rams specialize in defense, the Packers on offense. Could go either way, but I'm going to give it to the Packers since obviously they had a huge victory over the Texans. Momentum's going to be on their side definitely. So no doubt about that one. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints have been figuring it out exactly what it takes to win. Even though they don't have Sean Payton, even though they don't have as great of a defense as they have in years past. But I really think that they are going to end up winning against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next up, we got the New York Giants versus the New England Patriots. Both of these teams want to show why exactly they're the best in the AFC East. Both of them are 3-3. The Patriots wanting to bounce back, the Jets wanting to show that their win against Colts in dominant fashion was no fluke. I'm going to go with the New York Jets to win this one, even though the Patriots are a huge favorite to win. I think the Jets are going to pull off a humongous upset over the Patriots, and they're going to have a temporary lead over them as far as division standings are concerned. So the Jets are my pick. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Oakland Raiders, two of the worst teams in the AFC this season. This one could go either way. Both of them are pretty much horrible on both sides of the ball, but I think the Oakland Raiders are going to win this one since they will have home field advantage. Obviously, very few teams want to play against the Raiders at their home, so the Raiders are my pick to win this one. Next up, we got our Sunday night game, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals because the Pittsburgh Steelers seem to be having a lot of problems this season playing on the road. The Bengals, on the other hand, they seem to be doing very well playing at home. So I don't think this is going to be any contest. Not to mention that Troy Polamalu and a few other players on the Steelers are going to be out for this one, and the Bengals are going to seize the opportunity, so the Bengals are my pick to win it. Next up, we got our Monday night game, the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears, a humongous division rivalry. And since this game's taking place at Chicago, I'm going to give this one to the Chicago Bears, not to mention that the Bears do have a dominant defense. And when their offense is fully healthy, they're pretty much a near to unstoppable force to win this one. So the Bears are my pick. So thank you very much for watching my picks, and I'll see you next week.